lives on a pineapple under the sea.
Welcome back to a brand new video, a brand new series. You guys are going to be stoked because I'm going over the Navy jobs. We're starting from the top, now we're here. Yep. As you guys know, I was in a squadron in the Navy. Now, I just want you to understand how big the Navy actually is. It is massive. Massive. So I did a video with my homie, Coast Guard Chris, where we went over all the Coast Guard jobs. There's only like 15 Coast Guard jobs. It was really, really simple. Now, once I could not do that with the Navy, you know, because I was only in aviation. I was involved with the squadron side of the military, of the Navy. There's so many other sides. Submarines, nuclear, surface warfare, the CB community, the corpsman community, the spec ops community, the intelligence community. There's so many communities, mate. So me, luckily, I worked on the flight deck. So I know what a lot of aviation jobs and flight deck jobs do. So that's what I'm going to focus on right now. Now, my goal eventually, with my military life before and after episodes that I do, is to interview every single Navy rate. Is to get every single Navy job, you know, a description, a little insight on there from the source. But right now, we're going to start with my knowledge. With the jobs that I know, we're going to start with the flight deck and aviation jobs. We're going to be talking about the ABHs, the ABEs, and the ABFs. Now, there is some animosity between those rates, those aviation jobs that work and live on the ship, and the squadron personnel like myself. Because I was able to do their job. I could do the ABH's job, the handlers, the plane handlers. I was a plane captain. When we're not on deployment, when squadron personnel are not at sea, we work at the hangar bay, we work on the beach. We do our own aircraft moves. We do our own aircraft washes. We do our own aircraft fueling. And we do all the maintenance and inspections on top of that. When we get out to the deployment, when we go out to sea, that's when the ABHs, they're the ones that direct the aircraft and do the towing. The ABFs are the ones that are the purple shirts. They're the ones that do the fueling. And then you have the ABEs. Now, those guys are separate. Those guys work on the arresting gear, on those big cables that trap the aircraft with the hook. Grabs the hook, the big rubber bands that you see. They're the ones that work on those equipments, the ABEs. They're called the gear dogs. Much respect to the gear dogs. I'm going to get more into that, but probably one of the hardest jobs, one of the hardest working rates in the Navy. Those guys fucking hustle. All right, so starting with ABHs. Those are the yellow shirts that you see. Now, those are also the blue shirts. Blue shirts is what you start off as. You're an unqualified ABH. Once you get qualified, then you move up to the yellow shirt and you're hot shit. Passing off the aircraft, doing all your fucking hand signals that I had to learn myself for being a landing signalman enlisted. So, but yes, ABHs. It's a very, any flight deck job. All these jobs that I'm talking about are flight deck jobs. ABH, ABF, ABE. You're experiencing the conditions. You're exposed to the sun 24/7. There's no shade on the flight deck. You're exposed to the elements. You're exposed to the wind. Now, that's one thing that you have to prepare yourself for, is like getting windburn. You know, my face will get windburn a lot because not only is it dry, it's hot, but you're getting, when the aircraft have to take off, the ship has to be at least at 20, 25, 30 knots to create that lift for the F-18s. You know, because the F-18's taking off the catapult, and then you have the wind that's coming over the bow, right, from the carrier. You know, we're trying to go fast and get all that wind coming so you get that extra lift. So you're exposed to a lot of wind, a lot of elements. That's just part of working on the flight deck, though. You know, you do get used to it, and it does give you a lot of perspective and respect. You know, like now that I'm a civilian and I'm in college and I have, you know, I'm a student now, I'm like, damn, all this stuff I'm doing now is cake compared to when I was in 50 knots of wind on the flight deck in some crazy conditions, trying not to get ran over by F-18s and shit. All right, but back to ABHs. So when you're a blue shirt, like I said, you're an unqualified yellow shirt. So you're going to be driving the little tow tractor around, right? You're going to be driving it around. You're going to be hooking it up with the tow bar. Those are going to be your two main things as a blue shirt. You're gonna really love the tow tractor, you're gonna really love the tow bar, and you're really gonna love aircraft chains. Because you are the chalk and chain bitch as a blue shirt. You know, as the yellow shirts move and direct all these F-18s and jets around, you're the ones that are running up, throwing in the chocks, tying down the tie-down chains, hooking up the tow bar. You're doing all the manual labor.
Maybe I act on confused behavior. Maybe waves crash like semi-trailer. Maybe I'll spend my off time without you. It seems like we need our own space.
So as a blue shirt, it is a lot of work, but it's very exciting work, you know, because you're experiencing the flight deck for the first time. It's a crazy world. Usually I'd say it takes a couple months to a year to get qualified as a yellow shirt. You know, 6 months to a year, maybe a little longer, depending on how your hustle. They're also your flight deck petty officers. Flight deck is broken up into 3 parts. There's a flight deck petty officer for the front part of the ship, the middle, and then the aft part of the ship. One reason why I have a lot of respect for yellow shirts is because they have to deal with dog. They have to deal with flight deck control. Flight deck control is located in the island of the aircraft carrier. The big thing that sticks out from the flight deck and is really tall. That's the island. At the bottom of the island is flight deck control. That's where Dog is. He's the one that runs and oversees everything on the flight deck. All the moves, all the coordination. And usually Dog is fucking the salty, like super fucking serious boat chuck sailor. Like, you don't fuck with him. So they have to deal with him all the time, man. So major props to yellow shirts. And it's a great rate. It's really fun. I think it would be fun. Now, if you don't if you don't want to work on the flight deck and do all that shit I said, then obviously that would not be fun. But for me, you know, I wouldn't mind being yellow shirt. I think it would have been cool. Moving on to the purple shirts. These are the ABFs. These are the fuelies. Now, the fuelies would get a lot of shit. Because when they're getting flight deck, you have to get flight deck qualified, guys. So before you even can start operating by yourself and going solo up there, you're a flight deck trainee. And what that means is you have to shadow somebody at all times. You can never be left alone as a trainee. You have a big T. There's a big T that is on the back of your float coat, you know, like in tape. So we're like, oh, there's a trainee. Like we can spot you guys because you guys will get fucked up real quick. You're just wandering off. Dead. But what's funny is the ABFs, the purple shirt trainees, they literally had to hold on to each other. They had to hold on to their person. They could not let go. Like as a squadron, you know, when I was a trainee, you know, I can, you know, walk around. I didn't have to like hold on to my person that was training me. They're literally holding on to their float coats at all times as they're walking around the flight deck. You're like, oh, there's the fucking purple shirts, man. Holding on to each other. And also, like I said, I did their job on the beach. Just like I did the ABH's job as a plane captain on the beach. I did my own fueling on my own aircraft. It's really fucking simple. You open up this one panel on the side of the helicopter. You hook up the fucking hose. Turn it in. Lock it in. Pull a little thing down, boom, you're getting fuel. But yes, as ABF, that's what you're doing. You're fueling all the aircraft. You're fueling all the helicopters. You're fueling the F-18s. You're fueling the fucking Greyhounds. You're fueling the Growlers. Every single aircraft on the flight deck is your job to fuel. Also, another thing you have to do is take fuel samples. Fuel samples are kind of a bitch for us, for squadron members to do, especially if there's an aux tank. Just remember me saying this. Aux tank fuel samples are a bitch. Being a grape, being a purple shirt, it's definitely not as bad as being an ABH or an ABE. It's one of the easier flight deck jobs. Very simple what you're doing. You're hooking up a fucking hose. That's all you do. And then if you have a chill job, you can like work in Fuelie QA. You just take fuel samples, you know, and you sit in this room and they played fucking Madden and NBA 2K. This last flight deck job, the ABEs. The gear dogs. Holy fuck, if you're gonna be a gear dog attached to a carrier, woo, major fucking props to you guys, because I have never seen more harder workers in my life than the gear dogs. they would do some crazy stuff. You have to imagine during flight deck operations, right? The F-18s are coming in. They're catching those wires. They're catching the 1, 2, 3, or 4 wire every time. So the ABEs, they're the ones that are in charge of trapping the aircraft. They're in charge of their resting gear wires. And if one of those wires, if one of the tension's off, they have to change the wire on the spot. And it is a fucking crazy evolution to watch. Like these, you see the gear dogs coming out. They're like, okay, we're changing the 2 wire. We're changing the 2 wire. And they pretty much have 3 minutes in between when the last F-18 lands, the other one's coming on approach. They have to come and change the wire and do all that shit on the flight deck before the next F-18 comes and lands.
1 minute standby to change out the 4 wire. Found it, now change the 4 wire.
Yo, I got so worked up with the ABEs, with you guys working on the arresting gear. Obviously, you guys also work on all of those type of equipments on the flight deck. So you have the arresting gear, you have the catapults that the ABEs work on. You guys are going right up to the steam catapult. But yeah, ABEs, you're working on like I said, the arresting gear, the catapults. You're working on the jet blast deflectors, the JBDs that block all the exhaust. So anything that pretty much makes the flight deck go, you guys have got your hands in it. On my top 5 worst jobs list, if there was a number 6 or a 5.5, it would be right there, man. This is right up there as one of the hardest jobs. If you want to work on the flight deck, if you think this stuff's exciting and get hyped up and excited like I do, then it wouldn't be a bad job. It's not a bad job. It's, working on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier. It's one of the most dangerous things in the world. And, I'm really proud and to say that I fucking operated on that bitch for 4 years and still got 10 fingers and 10 toes. It did not take anything from me. This is going to be wrapping up the video on the flight deck jobs. The next jobs I'm going to be talking about are going to be a lot of my squadron jobs. We're going to be going into AM, AD, AE, AT, maybe a little AZ, maybe a little PR, maybe a little AME. So yeah, guys, a lot of stuff to come. And I want to knock off every Navy job eventually. All fucking whatever. There's like 50 of them, maybe? 50 jobs? I don't know. I need to look and get the exact number. Now there's a lot of Navy jobs though, and they just added 4 more new ones. The fuck. Thank you so much for 28,000. We just hit 28K subs, getting close to that 30K, and then the 100K push. The 100K grind is real. It's happening. We're in it right now. The channel's been great, crazy blowing up, man. Thank you so much for all the support, all the likes, all the comments. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Videos every on the channel. Goodbye.